Irish spirituality, then and now. This program explored the strength of the Celtic spiritual heritage, still very alive today, in spite of enormous changes in Irish communities. Through the ancient art of storytelling and heartfelt conversations with representatives from pagan, druidic and shamanic traditions, you can embark into a wonderful world of Irish festival, myth and legends, fairies and leprechauns, shamanic drumming and journeying, and druidic ceremonies at the Hill of Tara. Learning how it has evolved over the years and exploring the crucial role of these ancient beliefs in today's modern society. In this program, we travel to County Wicklow, where we meet a mixed community of Irish Catholic monks who bring us into the healthy world of healing music and a body, mind and spirit approach to maintaining optimum health. Hermano Seamus, you are living as part of a community in Wicklow, the Servant of Love. Your main occupation, I believe, is about composing music and playing music. Can you tell us a little bit about your life?
Yeah, I'm a member of a community called the Servants of Love. We're in Wicklow town. I joined about 30 years ago now. After a while in the community, I began to compose music. We were selling some fishing equipment at the time, and we needed to advertise it with music. The whole idea of healing and meditation and that kind of thing found its way into the music. I think there was a global thing going on where more and more people in the world were recording nature sounds, for example, and creating meditation music. And you called me there Hermano Seamus, and Hermano Seamus is Brother Seamus. I belong to a Spanish record company, and I tour with them in South America and Mexico and so on, because they like the Celtic music. For me now, the Celtic music and any music that I do is really aimed at healing in some form.
The music that you play, in a way, is part of the heritage that we have here in Ireland. There is a very strong heritage of music and also sounds of nature. Can you tell us how these sounds can help people to feel better and maybe even heal?
Modern society has strayed a great deal from what's natural. I suppose we've done that for our own comfort. A lot of countries are cold countries, so we've invented electricity and so on for heat and light and all that, which is fantastic. They're great inventions, of course. The more we've done that, the more concrete we've put down, the bigger the buildings have got, we've kind of isolated ourselves. And nature is made for healing purposes, like the sounds of nature, the sound of the sea, for example. If you've ever sat by the sea and just close your eyes and listen to the waves, it's a tremendously healing experience. It's a beautiful experience. But who experiences that now? Only people who go to the beach. Sometimes, if it's too cold in the winter to go to the beach, then you go in the summer maybe. And then there could be a crowd on the beach, so there's a lot of noise. So it's difficult to actually get that particular sound. That sound of just the sea, kind of an isolated sound, just yourself and the sound of the sea. And also we're not inclined to do that so much because of our busy lifestyle as well. So that's one of the reasons I found myself drawn to record the sounds. The same with the sound of the forest, a beautiful sound of a rivulet or rain or something like that. I found myself just going out in nature and just recording those sounds in their just primitive natural setting. For me, recording them, it was so healing, even just to stand there. And I've stood under like a canopy so that I wouldn't get wet in the microphones in the middle of a forest when it's lashing rain, and just to hear the sound is a tremendous experience. I can't say it heals anybody, but it certainly helps us get back to the power of nature, the healing power of nature. I'm sure scientists now can explain all of that, how that works from a vibrational point of view and all that. When I started composing music first, the sounds were a separate interest that I had. I just liked the sound of nature. And then the music was music for its own sake. And then somebody suggested, when I composed The Healer, initially there was no sound of the sea on it, or no seagulls or anything like that. And somebody listened to the music and they said, that's a lovely piece of music. I think you should add the sound of the sea to that. One day it was very stormy down here in the Murrow, just along the coast there, and I thought, God, that's an opportunity. So I went down and the waves were huge, and I recorded the sound of the sea and I mixed it with the music of The Healer. The energy it put into it gave the whole piece a huge lift. That's what I find. People who hear that music and listen to it, it's very relaxing, but the energy in it is tremendous as well, and vibration. Music then, melody and nature sounds mixed together can be very, very nice. And lots of people use that for meditation. It just helps to calm the spirit, because we are ourselves of nature, and we are, each person is a musical instrument in themselves. Then we can harmonise or connect very easily to music and nature sounds.
Part of the work you do as well is toning. So tell us a little bit about toning.
Yeah, toning is interesting because when I give retreats, nobody wants to do it at the beginning. I talk about toning and chanting, and people who are new to it, they kind of start to look around. We're a bit shy about it. And all it is where you allow your voice actually to express what's going on in your spirit in a form of, a very simple form of vocalizing different notes or frequencies. That's all it is. Gorian chant, for example, would be an evolved version of that. I think in primitive cultures, they would have had their own chants. It's quite a normal thing in nature for people to chant, but it can be used as a way of releasing self-expression. It can be used as a way of mapping what's going on inside yourself, also clearing what's going on inside yourself. Again, it's a form of vibration, and they're starting to use it in different forms of medicine to actually heal different parts of the body. They've figured out the particular notes or frequencies that can actually heal specific parts. So you can do that for yourself if you practice toning.
So are you going to give us an example that our listeners can join in as well?
The whole thing about it is not to plan anything. Your system, if you like, your spirit, your body, already knows what it wants to express, and just to allow it to do that.
You see it as an expression of your Catholic faith, your Catholic heritage. How would you say that this is part of rebuilding our communities in the modern days that we live in?
As a member of a Catholic community and living a monastic life and being interested in the Celtic and all of that, I suppose it's all tied up together. And my own heritage is very Celtic, I believe. Whatever we think about ourselves now in the modern world, we come from somewhere. But if you're from a particular culture, heritage and religion, that forms a huge part of your psyche. So you've got to deal with that, and you've got to deal with it objectively. The Celtic Catholic heritage that I think most Irish people are involved in at a very deep level, I think is mostly contemplative. It's not as ritualistic in the sense, it's not so much what we would call praise and worship. It's more quiet, it's more meditative. And for a lot of people now, you'll find that they're looking for different forms of meditation, different forms of relaxation. Now, that's happening all over the world, of course, but particularly in the Irish setting, the Irish are happy being in a sense of solitude. Now, that's easy to prove because the Irish are very shy about singing hymns at Mass or whatever. We join in, but we do it shyly. And I think that goes back to our Celtic heritage. Also, we have a history where we had to hide our religion quite a lot from oppression, so we're kind of used to doing that. In Wicklow at the moment, I've begun these meditations every Friday evening. I help people to experience where they come from, who they are, find out who they are, to move forward from there.
How can it help us in our modern days, in the future?
It's a journey towards discovering the truth about oneself. as individuals and as a society, we're very much caught up in the survival process. Our main focus on life seems to be how to make some money, to buy food, to buy a house, to live. That produces a lot of stress. I think the reason it produces the stress is because it doesn't give a meaning to us. It also tires us. So we need to use the tools that have been given to us in order to find out, who am I as a person? Who am I really? I'm not my job, I'm not my house. And I may end up as similar to the food I eat, but I'm not the food I eat, I'm something else. I'm not my body as such, I'm something else. I'm an awareness of that. There's a consciousness in there, there's a spirit in there. What I would hope to do anyway with the Celtic Catholic heritage, nature, the music, the sounds, the meditation and so on, is to help individual people and groups, but mostly it's at an individual level first, is for a person to find out who they are and to connect with themselves. That's what I think the healing really is.
Veronica, you are part of the community, the Servant of Love. You have a lovely place here in Wicklow. Tell us about the Raw Food Cafe. How did that come into being born here in Wicklow?
Our Raw Cafe, it's called Healthy Habits. It came about through an idea of sharing what we had learned from our own experience of health. Some of our members got sick years ago, and the doctor put this particular member on a diet, and I was the cook at the time, and we all followed that diet, and we learned from that food played an awful big part in being healthy. And we did a lot of research, and over the years we discovered that raw food does an awful lot for your health. It prevents you getting sick. So we wanted to share this information with the wider community. So we decided to open up our place and to have a cafe, a raw living food cafe.
So what do we call living food?
The way we look on it is food that has not been heated above 115 degrees. It's vegan and it's vegetarian. What I would serve in the cafe would be living soups. I'd have a broccoli, almond soup, cauliflower soup, mushroom soup, lentil soup. I'd have entrees, sausages, burgers, mostly made out of nuts.
I was going to say sausages and burgers, but without meat.
Without meat, but they taste very spicy and they're lovely.
So you say you can heat the food and it can still be living?
That's right. It'd be as warm as a baby's bot. If you don't have a temperature gauge, that's a great way of judging it. I use a dehydrator also, which also heats the food. It takes out the water out of the food, and so I can make crackers and breads. My pizza base would be made in a dehydrator, and then I would add a pasta sauce and a cream cashew sauce and toppings, just like a regular pizza.
And no dairy products then?
No dairy products, no.
What do you find happens for people when they go on a raw food diet?
Everybody, to some extent, is on a raw food diet. People don't realise they are. Anybody who eats an apple, pear, banana, has a salad, is already eating raw and living food. To have more of it in the diet helps the body. The body recognises the food as healing. It detoxes the body and it helps prevent illness.
And how would you see the raw food diet being part of our heritage?
We already eat raw, but if you look back at the monks, they would have lived on berries and nuts and other foods. They would have gathered the berries and gathered the nuts. You hear about the monks in Glendalough doing that, and I'm sure it's all over in all the settlements in the Celtic era.
And then as well, I suppose, sharing a meal with people. I mean, here in Ireland we're very sociable and we like to gather together for food or drink.
The idea of breaking bread together, it's a lovely way of getting together with family and friends. And also it's a lovely way of getting to know somebody that you mightn't know. It's a lovely way of being relaxed, having something to do, having time to talk, communicate, and it really is a very social thing. Healthy food would be an asset to all this because the food, you will feel good afterwards. I mean, when you eat living food, you do feel good afterwards. You have more energy. You don't have problems with digestion, which a lot of people have.
Do you know much about enzymes enzyme, the importance of raw food because it preserves the enzymes.
Digestive enzymes are part of food. When we cook it above a certain degree, they are destroyed. A lot of vitamins are destroyed. You still have, if you want to get the optimum benefit of food, to keep digestive enzymes going, it would be to have it raw, to have it still living. You can heat it up to 115 degrees, but to get the optimum benefit of your money and of your food would be to eat it that way.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Bernard, you are also member of the community, the Servant of Love, and I take it that from the name of your community, love is a very important part of community life.
Yeah, I suppose it's the reason why we all joined. We wanted to perfect ourselves in love for each other, for God. Way of life that we've developed, all our rules and regulations and our format is all to bring out the best in each person so that we can achieve love. I think the regime of any monastery is to perfect its members in love and to bring them to God. It doesn't have to be the servants of love, it could be the Carthusians or the Benedictines, it's all the same. They have their rule and we have ours, but in the end result should be that you become closer to God in love.
Love is the opposite of stress.
In our community, we are dedicated to being positive. We have a positive attitude to life. Our work is to be positive and to find the positive when things are difficult. It's not that we are outrageously happy every second of the day. Everybody has their challenges and some of them can be difficult. We have this vow where we have chosen to be positive, especially about the things that are difficult. But life, is a series of choices. What happens when you choose not to be positive? Well, straight away you introduce an element of stress into your life. And I believe they're the two opposites, the two poles. Either you're positive and you introduce love, or you have a lack of love, you're negative, and then you introduce stress. You think stress was only developed in the last 5 years. We hear so much about it, but of course it's been there a long time, but it's playing such a huge part in people's lives. They say that the modern man is under something like 10,000 times more stress than the man who existed before the war, the middle of the last century. That's how great it is. Our lifestyles have changed, pressures on us have changed, so that stress has really become a major problem. I won't say it's easily dealt with. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge that's made easier by being positive.
And it's sometimes very difficult for us to accept that actually our natural way of being is one of pure relaxation, because we go through so much stress that we think that is who I am. This angry, impatient, sad person is me, and really that is not. So how do we find out the us that is more relaxed, the us that is more vibrant, more positive? Do you have some tips for our listeners?
Over the years, we've altered our rules, we've changed our rules, we've created new rules for each of us to live our lives. But one of the big things in our life is meditation. Now, we meditate in the morning and in the evening. And I would say to anybody who wants to get a grip on their life, it would be to do at least 15 minutes meditation a day in the evening when they get home from work. What the meditation does for you is that it helps you to clear negativity out of the system, out of the mind. And without your meditation, you have this build-up every day, adding more and more into the weight that you're already carrying. And for some that can become unbearable, and in extreme cases then you have a breakdown. Meditation is a great safeguard against negativity. When you commit yourself, and that's also part of the deal, that you have to commit yourself to doing it every day without fail. And it doesn't have to be a particular regulated format where you sit down with your knees crossed and you hum a mantra. You can do it while you're walking, you can do it while you're driving. It's just a matter of setting yourself that 15 minutes, set your watch, your timer on your watch or whatever, to start, and then as soon as you start, just elevate your mind to God. If you're a Catholic, then you have a relationship with God already, but if you're non-Catholic, just elevate your mind to the thoughts of higher things in the cosmos, or in nature or something like that, something that takes you out of your present state and just calm the mind. And it doesn't matter if thoughts are coming and going. Once you've made that start, that commitment to do the 15 minutes, it'll take care of itself, and it will gradually you will become more refined in the thoughts that you allow to go through your mind.
And that is true, that we can actually notice that when we allow our mind to take over, it's a vicious circle. Everything gets worse and worse and worse. And if you can find the way to break that pattern and bring yourself, as you say, back towards the light, whatever that means for you, and try, instead of seeing the problems, to see the solutions.
This is where we invented this vow that we have of always choosing to be positive. And that's, you're right, it's a choice to look at the solution rather than the problem. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And that's sort of a great little handy little saying. But if you lack positivity, you're going to be overcome with the negative. And if you have allowed the negative into your life, you're going to be overcome with stress. And then the knock-on effect of stress is that it has to be compensated for. And we compensate for stress with sugar. And sugar is the downfall of the modern diet. Scientists have proved that cancer feeds on sugar. So if you think you're in danger of becoming cancerous or have a cancerous situation, then the first thing you do is you run a mile from anything sweet.
But we're looking for the sweetness of life.
That's right. And everybody needs that sweetness, but to look for it in the right places.
So what would be the right place?
Well, we can look at our diet for a start. I mean, that's, for most people, that's the easiest way to look, where to look. You know, illness and, as I mentioned, cancer, diet can go a long way to healing illness, but it's only one element, it's only one factor.
And there's other elements, for example, exercise, moving the body, because when you feel stressed, it's like you're nearly frozen in your stressful state and you can't see the wood for the trees. Mm-hmm. And sometimes putting your body in motion is a very healthy way to get your emotions to move as well. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about the importance of exercise in your life?
Vigorous exercise can help in alleviating mild depression. Movement is major. A visit to the gym, get onto the treadmill, lift a few weights, swimming, anything like that, any form of movement, a walk in the forest, not only just the exercise but you're breathing oxygen. All these things are paramount to overall health. I would say we should be exercising every day, and the more exercise the better. I mean, if you could manage, I don't know if you would have the time, but an hour a day would be excellent. Because it's not just that you're exercising and you're moving. The body needs exercise, especially for women, and certainly as they get older. Exercise is essential to keep the muscle tone. Otherwise, you can lose your muscles and start suffering from things like osteoporosis. Exercise gets the blood pumping, and when the blood is pumping through your tissues, it's taking out those toxins. And disease or illness comes about as a result of the buildup of toxicity.
And you mentioned, and that would be my personal choice, walk in nature. I'm not really one for treadmills, but I love a walk in the forest. And there's another reason for it. It's not just the exercise, it's the oxygenation.
Where there's oxygen, you will never get cancer in the body. And where there's cancer, there's no oxygen. And this is another reason why our diet consists in large part of raw and living food, in that living food has all its oxygen intact. So when you eat living food and raw food and your sprouts and so on, you are flooding your body with oxygen. So there's less in there in your body for disease to attach itself to. So you should be, in theory, disease-free the more oxygen you put into your body. But if you don't get it in your food, if you eat a cooked food diet, then I highly recommend and strongly recommend that we walk in places where there is high oxygen, which is in the mountains, in the forest, by the sea, especially close to the water's edge where the waves break, because you get a higher oxygen content just at that point. But exercise is excellent. Even in the gym, getting those muscles moving, getting the blood pumping, it's wonderful. And you'll always feel great after it, even though the thought of doing it when you're sitting there at the table at home in the kitchen and say, oh no, I don't want to do it, I don't want to go for that walk. And I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of walks I've been on. I have never said to myself, oh, I regret I went on that walk. I have always enjoyed it and felt the benefits of it. You sleep better, quality of your life improves. It's just great.
In conclusion, the underlying message of spiritual leaders in Irish ancient and modern societies shows us the strength and the power of our spiritual heritage and the importance of faith in our everyday lives and in rebuilding a sense of community. You were listening to Irish Spirituality, Then and Now. Produced and presented by Marie-Angéline Lascaux, this program was made with the support of Sound and Vision Broadcasting Funding Scheme, a BCI initiative.